Hey, Crawlspacers, welcome to our review show of Sinister War 1 and 2 and ASM. We've got George, what's going on?
Hello, everyone.
Egron did nothing wrong. There you go. So we have some more panelists coming, but they're late, George. So they'll get here eventually.
How unprofessional, Brad.
Well, luckily, we're leading with you with the ASM review. Mm-hmm. But, here we go. JR's on the line now. Hey, what's up, JR?
Hey.
Greetings.
Hey, who's accusing Stegron of doing something wrong?
No. That's a meme, to say, blank did nothing wrong,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So
Neil does it all the time. With Star Wars stuff.
SoFlo, happy 15 years. Thank you, SoFlo. Hopefully you stick around for in an hour and a half. We're going to do the anniversary show. That will be cool. Let's see. We've got Ryan. What's up, man? Arcalopocos or Archilo Corpse. There you go. What's up, man? Mr. Comics. Hello, Power Packers. Just got off with the voice. Power Packers, you left of us a voicemail. How cool is that? We've got a new voicemail line. I'll show it in just a minute. Mr. Comics, what's going on? Stegron shot first. There you go. Venkman, hello, man. Trayvon and Anthony. Let's see.
Hey, what's up, Anthony? How are you?
Okay. So let me share my screen and we will review the first issue of Sinister War 1 is first, I think, right?
Yeah, it's Sinister War 1, and then it goes to ASM 71.
Okay.
And then back over to Sinister War 2.
All right. So, George, take me through it.
All right. So, Sinister War number 1 by Nick Spencer and Mark Bagley.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the start off of how many parts is this? I think 6.
6, I think, yeah.
And it interweaves with ASM.
Help me out, Chad. I think it's 6. It could be 5.
I think it's 6.
I thought it was 5, but anyway, It's going to be too long regardless.
Here is Javi. What's going on, Javi?
Hey, gang. What's up?
Yo. You missed the intros, but you're here.
I'm here. I had a little bit of technical difficulties, but
it's all good.
I've overcome them, and I'm here.
So the issue starts off giving us something we've been waiting for what, about 3 months, 4 months?
I don't know.
In the story?
Time.
Yeah.
11 years,
back.
George.
Yes, technically, but I'm talking about since the last time we saw Doctor Strange talking to Mephisto. I can't remember the issue number now, but it was the one that I gave A++.
With Mephisto, yes.
But that feels like it's been 3 or 4 months now. But we pick up from there with more discussion about what is wrong with Peter Parker's soul. As Doctor Strange continues to explain, it's not just pain or suffering, but there's loss there. Something's been taken from him by you. So Strange and Mephisto kind of have a good little back and forth. Mephisto reminds him, no, I don't take things, I'm given things. Which technically he's got a point. So we cut away from Doctor Strange and Mephisto talking. We go to Mary Jane's movie premiere,
right,
where Peter Parker is there as her date, as he refers to himself as Arm Candy, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So while they're walking up the red carpet, Mysterio in his disguise as Cage McKnight, the director of Mary Jane's movie, comes up and greets him, says, "Hey, it's great to meet you, but I've got to steal your girlfriend away for a moment. We have to, do the press thing and be in photos and everything." Yeah. And he pulls her away so they can have a quick little discussion about the fact that she still hasn't told Peter that the director of her film was Mysterio,
right?
And she keeps kind of chiding him about it's kind of hypocritical, for coming from like the super criminal master of illusion in disguise, as she says. But Peter, it looks like is planning on asking MJ to marry him at some point tonight.
Yeah, he's reflecting on the ring.
Yeah. Somewhere Joke will say that cries out in anger. So meanwhile, up on the rooftop, you've got a team of villains who has at one point or another worked.
Stegron!
Settle down.
Yes, Stegron superfan J.R. Fettinger. Yes, Stegron is one of the people that we see.
Mm-hmm.
So all these people, I believe, except for Cobra. I don't think Cobra's ever worked on a Sinister team before. And I don't actually. Tarantula might not have. Did did the Scorpion ever? Was the Scorpion ever part of a Sinister team, Jr.?
Well, what about the Sinister Foes of Spider-Man mini back in the 90s? Who was
I
that?
was thinking more the Sinister 12 or whatever from the Marvel Knights Spider-Man series, but Gargan might have been Venom at that time too. I don't remember. That might have been like the transition story.
I mean, if Gargan was there, then Gargan was there. I mean, I guess it counts. I don't like it, but it counts. But yeah, I mean, this is actually a pretty cool display here. I mean, it's bad enough when you got Rhino or Stegron. Mm-hmm. Now you have Rhino and Stegron. And I'm seeing this panel. I'm like, this is too much. This is like putting Spider-Man up against Galactus. This is too much power. How's he gonna
throw Firelord in there? He can take Firelord. He can take these wimps.
I don't know, dude. I mean, Stegron alone would be one thing.
Yeah, the tail.
But now it's Stegron and like a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah,
and it's a whole different thing. But anyway,
Ryan says Cobra has been either
the
Serpent Society or the Serpent Force. So, what were you saying, Javi? I'm sorry.
You've got 3 heavy hitters there between Stegron, Scorpion, and the Rhino. I mean, those early Scorpions, he gave Spidey a run for his money back in the day, in the Ditko era.
Mm-hmm. So, so they're looking out, down from the rooftop towards the premiere, all the stuff going on the red carpet, and Vulture's very much got an eye for disrupting the events to sort of get his revenge for what he feels is a slight from the movie and the way the movie went down. So meanwhile, we cut over to Kindred's super secret cemetery lair since he's escaped again.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got Harry and Carly Cooper locked in a jail cell. And I think I speak for all of us. I think I speak for America. Really, I believe I speak for the world.
Okay,
when I say that, obviously, this is the best chance ever to go ahead and kill off Carly Cooper. and if that's one thing that Spencer hasn't accomplished on his way out the door, it's going to be a smudge on the legacy.
Oh man,
had a chance to kill Carly, failed to. So
had a chance right in the prison. Yep.
So we've all got our fingers crossed. Carly, please die.
Yeah.
Okay. So we flash. So that's just, we kind of cut away to them just so you know that that's there and that's going on. Nothing really substantial happens. Mary Jane comes back to Peter, back to find her seat sitting next to Peter. Peter tells her the popcorn's all gone. And I'm like, okay, now number one, for 2 people, right? We're looking at least a medium, maybe a tub. All right. Which Peter has apparently consumed because he tells her it's gone. It's long gone.
I'm trying to find that panel with the popcorn. I don't see it.
There wasn't one. There wasn't.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Okay.
But he says here it's long gone. So I'm thinking, dude, number one, hold up, show of hands. Who's eaten too much popcorn before?
Oh, almost every movie outing.
Right? Yeah. I mean, like, there is a price to pay, and it is steep.
Yeah.
So I want you to remember that when he starts fighting a whole gaggle of villains.
He's bloated, huh?
Because he's doing that while bloated, most likely.
Hey, real quick, George, can we comment on this panel? Because I'm curious what everybody thinks. What happens to an Osborn when they die? Their hair. Look at the hair.
Yeah. The hair persists after death. Yeah, shocking no one, I would think.
JR, Harry has better hair than I do. What's up with that? He's been dead for 20 years, 30 years. Maybe.
No, Yul Brenner had better hair than you, Brad. I mean,
yes, Ryan. Osborn hair is eternal. There you go. Okay. I just wanted to hit that before we went over it.
It's like that old SNL skit of Elvis's jacket. The king may be dead, but the jacket lives on, and the jacket itself goes on tour. That's what Osborne's hair is.
Oh, that's
the man may be gone, but the hair lives on.
I like that. That's alliteration.
So while they're getting ready for the movie to start, suddenly there's a colossal boom sound, startling everybody.
Mm-hmm.
This whole theater full of vapid, empty-headed celebrities. So Vulture's team comes crushing through the wall like a Kool-Aid man, ready to beat ass.
There you go.
It's a great, it's a nice little panel here.
It is. What did Kool-Aid man say when he busted through a wall?
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, kind of like Fat Albert. Kind of like what did?
Fat Albert said, "Hey, hey, hey."
Oh, yeah. What if both of them busted through a wall? It would be, oh yeah, hey, hey, hey. Yeah, there. Sorry, George. Go ahead.
Yeah. So as this team of calling itself the Savage Six,
right,
busts into the theater, the vapid, worthless celebrities start running for their worthless lives throughout the theater, and Peter is actually separated from Mary Jane at one point, but isn't too worried because he's like, she knows how to take care of herself. And we see her actually dodging out of the way as Vulture shoots her. I guess Vulture's got guns now.
I guess.
Normally he just like tries to slice people up with his wings or slash them with his claws. I've always said if you want to make Vulture scarier, give him a couple of Uzis. I mean, he's a big mobile guy that can just, lay down a bunch of fire like wherever, basically, on the battlefield.
I was trying to find.
He was watching Ant-Man, so he took a couple lessons from the Falcon from that movie.
Mm.
So, the theater's broken out in chaos. You've got Tarantula and Scorpion directly, ham-handing and vapid celebrities left and right.
Right.
Throwing celebrities all across the room, which I loved. I love this whole thing of just worthless people getting trashed by supervillains. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So Peter ducks out, busts out the shirt. You can see the Superman suit. He's suiting up. Mary Jane actually stops to help some poor old actor. And then Tarantula kind of squares off on her. And Mary Jane, to her credit, is not really scared. But, at this point in Mary Jane's history, she's already defeated, how many supervillains by herself now?
With just a lamp.
Yeah. Like a lamp one time, like with didn't she beat Chameleon with a baseball bat, I think?
Yep.
Yeah.
Came out with a baseball bat.
Yeah. Whereas Aunt May goes to, pharmaceutical warfare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poison you.
Mary Jane just connects bat to ass. For best results.
Bat to ass.
Apply directly to the ass.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, she's not real scared of him. And then Spider-Man webs him from behind, kind of throws him for a loop, and then Cobra tackles him. There's a lot of fighting in here. I feel kind of bad now that I retired from Friday Night Fight because we might have been able to cover this one. I feel like there's going to be a lot of ass getting beaten all across the Sinister War.
I think George, pound for pound, this is the most enemies he's fought at once. Is it not? If you throw Doc Ock in here, his team,
and
the lady team,
and note he can do it without a kill mode.
Oh yeah.
So Cobra kind of intercepts him from Tarantula. He escapes from Cobra. Spider-Sense going crazy all throughout this issue. They did a good job with that. And we just had kind of a brief discussion about that in the Discord chat, by the way.
Yeah, his Spider-Sense.
Jared, you're breathing like really heavy.
I am.
Yeah, you sound like kind of like Darth Vader. It's like
lower your mic a little bit. There you go.
Yeah,
must be that OCP or whatever.
So, so as soon as he gets away from Cobra, he gets belted by the tandem team of Rhino and Stegron.
Yep. Oh, we've got Kelly. Hey, Kelly, what's up?
Hey.
Sorry for the confusion. She didn't know she was on this one.
You didn't tell me at all.
I'm sorry.
I just got a link, and then I looked 10 minutes later, and I'm like, wait, is this for the later show?
Nope, it was for this one, but it's okay. You're here now. You're fine.
Yeah.
All right, we got Stegron and Rhino kicking ass here.
Yeah, so Stegron and Rhino hit him at the same time. And even Spider-Man says taking a head-on from Rhino and Stegron should put me out of commission for a week. And he's got a point. I don't know why. I don't know how he's still alive after that. I mean, Rhino's tough, but he's no Stegron. But Stegron's right there beside him. You know. Anyway, and here's an interesting moment. So he gets kind of pelted by those two, and then kind of comes to his senses. But he sees Vulture, right, descend on Mary Jane. Now, when Tarantula was there, I mean, he got Tarantula away from Mary Jane, but he didn't seem too terribly scared about it, right? Mm-hmm. When Vulture drops down on her, though, he kind of freaks. Yeah. And I think it's because, he realizes that, Vulture's an old dude with wings, but Vulture's very deadly.
Yeah, no doubt.
And Vulture has no problem killing people at all. Yep. He sees the Vulture and he's like, get up, Spidey, get up. And then he's tackled from behind by Scorpion and the others. And he's almost like begging, Matt Gargan to let him go. Yeah. So he can save Mary Jane, right? Mm-hmm. But Mary Jane winds up getting saved by Mysterio. Mm-hmm. in his disguise as Cage McKnight, but he does become Mysterio. Vulture, he and Vulture immediately start going at it. Vulture actually slashes his fishbowl and leaves a mark on it, and I'm like, dude,
that was pretty slick. I like that.
Did Vulture take did he level up and power up and badass at some point? Did he take a power up somewhere between here and the last time we saw him?
Mm-hmm. Was that from Vulture? I thought that was something that Kindred left on him.
No, it's right here.
It's right there. Look, he scratches him right there.
He slashes the fishbowl right there. Yeah.
Okay.
And then right in the nick of time to save Mysterio, you see one of Doc Ock's tentacles come and just being Adrian Toomes upside his dome. And then there's Dr. Octopus's Sinister Six, although there's only 5 of them. Mm-hmm. Because Mysterio, of course, was one of the originals. Right. And Dr. Octopus says no, he's needed elsewhere, referring to Mysterio. And there they are. You've got Electro, old school Electro.
Right. Yeah. Max Dillon.
Old school, original Electro. Mm-hmm. Sandman, Doc Ock, Craven. Although I forgot which. I lose track of which Craven we're on now.
Craven's 27th son? Is that?
I don't. Yeah,
this is clone. This is one of the clones, the surviving clone.
Wait a minute, Ben Riley's 27.
It's Craven 27. No, it's great. We'll just call all the clones 27. It's Craven 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forget how many Cravens there were.
And then the Lizard as well. His old friend Kirk Connors, who we wasn't talking to not too long ago. He had a conversation with him here fairly recently. But instead of jumping Spider-Man's just kind of on the floor while these guys just kind of go after one another.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and so Spider-Man's probably thinking, okay, maybe I can grab MJ and we can just get out of here while these guys kill one another. But then we have a very interesting panel.
Yeah.
Where Spider-Man's thinking, and he's like, none of this adds up, and the panel's got him with the ridiculous, thrice damned, awful Iron Spider things.
That's a reference to a book you didn't read, George. That's from the Superior 12-issue series where he Otto cut a deal with Mephisto to get his body back.
Oh, yeah. See there, I wouldn't know it because
there you go.
Didn't read it. All right, but I mean, we've got another reminder. Mephisto.
He's got his hands and everything. Yeah,
we're getting to it. We're building up to it. Mm-hmm. So Octopus, Vulture square off. Lizard goes after Stegron because he's an idiot. I mean, it's Stegron. You don't have a chance, Lizard. Tarantula squares off against Craven, and then they all just start fighting one another in a beautiful, huge, big fight panel. Look at that.
Yeah, this thing's beautiful.
Look at all that wholesome goodness, Brad.
That's straight up fisticuffs, isn't it?
Oh yeah, this is
fisticuffs.
This is ballroom blitz right here. This is what that is. So Spider-Man finds Mary Jane, is about to clobber Mephisto, and then Mary Jane drops it that she knew that he was Mephisto the whole time and that he's reformed, which Spider-Man kind of chortles and reminds her that he's a criminal. And then Mary Jane has the perfect comeback. You mean like your roommate or ex-girlfriend?
Oh yeah,
you know,
that's a zing right to him, isn't it?
Oh
She
yeah,
knows where to get him.
I'm looking at that. I'm like, oh, dude, there is no comeback to that.
No, speechless.
There's no comeback at all.
Speechless.
But their discussion is interrupted as he grabs Mary Jane, swings out of the way, as some of the combatants slam into them. They Spider-Man and Mary Jane dodge Sandman's fist. Rhino gets flung back from that fist into or at Mysterio. You see Dr. Octopus's tentacles trying to close around Vulture. I mean, there's a lot going on in this issue.
Oh yeah, it's a big fight.
There really is. So you got Spider-Man asking Mary Jane, "Are you okay?" And Mephisto's trying to warn him about everything going on. You know, and he tells him, "There's something I know, something about the two of you." And then again, we see Mephisto, and he says the reason it's all happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so Spidey says, "Hold that thought." He's trying to go after some of the other folks.
Like, hold that thought. We got 5-6 more issues to get to that point.
Yeah, and he's like, hold on. Don't pay that off now. Make people wait for it.
Make it a payment plan. We'll get it by issue 5 or 6.
Maybe cover it in Extreme Sinister War #1 that ties everything together after this.
The truth.
So yeah, Spider-Man's going after some of these guys, trying to maybe take a few of them out, or at least web some of them up, trying to cull the herd a little bit, maybe.
Right.
And Dr. Octopus starts fighting him, and Dr. Octopus starts beating the crap out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Really good fight panels here, showing you again how dangerous Dr. Octopus is. Even though he's a tubby guy with metal arms, guy with metal arms could actually pretty deadly, as it turns out.
No doubt.
But the fight continues. The villains kind of gang pile Spidey, and we learned that Dr. Octopus is there for Mary Jane.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That this is the deal. He's like, Quentin, we come to welcome you back into the Sinister Six. All it's going to cost you is her, because Kindred wants Mary Jane. And he even mentions, I've been assured, no harm will come to her. And so the villains continue to fight, and then Mysterio grabs Mary Jane away and disappears into the mists, with a very dire warning that the devil always gets his due. Spider-Man cries out, "MJ!" But too late, he gets clobbered by one of Doc Ock's tentacles. Man. I mean, he is surrounded by bad guys. And then when he wakes up, they're gone. Number one, he wakes up, period.
Yeah.
After having gotten clobbered by Lord knows how many people that would love to see him dead.
Yeah.
So of course, that's a big flag right there. It's like, wait a minute. What's going on? Why didn't these people kill him? Well, we find out later that's not what they were sent to do by their new master, so to speak.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man's coming to, clearing his head, and then gets jumped by Kindred, who overwhelms him with his what are those things called? What would he?
I don't know. What are those called? Cinedemons.
Cinedemons. That's right. That's what I was looking for. Cinedemons. But he's inside. He's back inside Kindred's lair. Kindred's throwing him around, smashing all these pictures of God knows what. I'm assuming these are pictures related back to Spider-Man's history that we saw. Remember, like early on in Spencer's run, he used to have pictures of people in certain places. But he starts seeing in some of these pictures now. He sees Mary Jane talking to Mysterio. He sees Norman looking like Norman got the crap kicked out of him. And then suddenly he turns around, and there are the Sinister Syndicate, right?
Yeah.
The Savage Six, Sinister Six, and some more people.
Look at all these people.
Taskmaster's there, Chance is there, Foreigner's there.
Look at that panel. My God.
Look at this. I lost track. I was trying to count, and I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to try. Slide is there for whatever reason. And you've got you've got some superior foes there. You've got Fred there.
Why not? Man, Bagley earned his money on this issue. Look at that.
I know, right? The only other person who could have drawn this many people is George Perez.
Yeah, that's
George Perez could draw like 40 people in like one thin panel in the middle of a page. So we go back to Doctor Strange talking to Mephisto. Doctor, I almost called him Dr. Mephisto. Mephisto's kind of, hey, what do you want from me? Hey, he's got his hands up. Mephisto's actually pretty interesting here.
He is
in the role of the casino boss, and so Doctor Strange threatens him, whatever you've done, to Peter, end it now. He even reiterates that Mephisto is the devil. Suck it, Dan Buckley. And so Mephisto was reminding him, dude, listen, again, let me remind you, my hands are tied. I made a deal.
Right.
You know, I was given, these people were goods were exchanged. I got receipts, pal. Right.
Yeah. It was a brand new day, Doc. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he takes Dr. Strange out to the casino and is asking him how lucky he feels while he's getting ready to roll on the roulette wheel, meaning is Dr. Strange willing to risk, I get presumably his soul for Peter Parker.
Right.
And here's the thing. Dr. Strange has put himself on the line for people that he doesn't even have as good a relationship at like he does with Spider-Man.
Right.
So I'm definitely guessing that's going to go down and he'll find a way to beat Mephisto.
Do you think it's tied into the death of Doctor Strange mini coming up?
I don't know. Maybe that whole thing tires me out. I just oh, somebody dies. All right, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
It's a Tuesday, but no. I part of me really wanted Doctor Strange to maybe just like leap across the roulette table and just go WWE on, stunner, and then just get on top of him, just start punching him in the face,
Yeah.
But that's not what happened. So it's probably a good thing I'm not the editor in that case, because I was like, how about he just kicks the crap out of him? How about that? How about he
got 5 more issues to sell. So
I know, right? Yeah, we got a long way to go. So that's the end of the issue.
Yeah, what's your grade?
I give this one an A.
Okay.
I give this one an A.
JR, what's your grade?
I give it a B+.
Kelly.
A.
Okay, Javi.
That was an A+ for me.
An A out of me also. Look at that. JR's the low man. George, what's your pros? What'd you like about it?
You know me, Brad.
It's fights everywhere.
I love fights, right? I mean, there's so much fighting going on in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because at the beginning, we switch from like so many things, from like one thing to the next, one group to the next. It's almost like the La Resistance medley from South Park, the movie. But between how many things we're switching to, it all comes together. It all works very well. I like that we're getting more, even more movement on the Mephisto stuff.
Yes.
Which we've been clamoring for now. And even when it came out the last time when Doctor Strange confronted Mephisto, we knew, we were like, it's going to take a long time for us to see the next part of this. And it did, which makes me think, like, have they been sitting there in that casino talking this whole time? Mm-hmm. However long that's been like in real life in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
What is that, like a few days? Have they just been out there hanging out? What's going on?
I took it like George, like it was time moves differently in that realm.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Javi. So no, I like the Spider-Man and Mary Jane stuff in here. I like the Peter and Mary Jane stuff in here. I loved seeing this many Spider-Man enemies fighting one another. There was just a lot of really good stuff in here.
Yeah.
And I just like it. Plus, an issue that's actually good that has Stegron in it, not just one where, Brad is like, George, you're going to pick that one up. It has Stegron in it. And I'm like, doesn't mean it's good, Brad. I remember you said that, and it was like that X-Men school that Peter was teaching at or whatever.
Spider-Man the X-Men.
And that was some of the worst crap I've ever read. and you were eating up with it. You're like, oh my God, I love this. And I'm like, yeah, that explains a lot. But yeah, no, I really did. I like
one of my pros that you often talk about. He didn't call the Fantastic Four. He didn't call the Avengers. It's Spider-Man against 18, 20 villains.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's going after him. He's not. I mean, he's fighting till his bitter end, which that's Spider-Man to me.
Yeah.
So
yeah. There's no backup here. There's no. At one point, I expected Fred maybe at some point in the story to like kind of come to his senses and jump in. I think that may still happen, but when we find out, what's happening to all of them and the duress they're kind of all working under.
Yeah.
It makes sense that it hasn't happened yet, but I fully suspect that if that wears off, that Fred will actually jump in and help him.
Yeah.
Or at least somehow, maybe not in an overt way since he's back with his old crew, but he'll find some way to make it right. At least I think he will. Then again, I don't know, as we keep getting reminded by Spencer, at the end of the day, he's just a POS criminal.
Yeah. True. Any other pros out of you, George?
No, just really like the issue. Spencer and Bagley did a good job with the spider sense as well. It goes off here several times, and I mentioned the Discord chat we heard earlier on this earlier in the week.
Yeah.
And I had pointed out, I was like, even if the spider sense is narratively inconvenient for the writer, if you absolutely 100% need Spider-Man to get hit by something and not use spider sense to dodge it, the spider sense still needs to be represented or referred to, shown going off, and the fact that he doesn't have time to react to it. In that case, it's fine. That's happened many, many times, and everyone understands that. He can't do a billion things at once.
Right.
So, there's only so much he can do. There's been times when he knows his spider sense is going off and he knows he can't do anything about it. He's about to get walloped.
And that point is illustrated literally in Javi's issue coming up on Sinister War 2.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job here of that. It kind of stood out to me because we'd been talking about it this week on the Discord.
Yeah.
So
Javi, didn't you give it an A+?
I did.
What's some of your pros not mentioned it already?
Desperation.
Yeah.
There was a palpable sense, a feeling of desperation when the attack happened and Peter started to panic for Mary Jane, even though she was holding her own.
Yeah.
Like you pointed out in the recap, when Gargan has Spidey held down and he's just trying to get to save her because he doesn't know what's going to happen. I mean, the Vulture is the guy who killed, Nathan Lubensky. He's had some he's caused personal tragedy though in the Parker family.
Well, and it shows, Javi, to kind of underscore your point, it shows that he's not above killing a civilian.
Yeah.
And in this case, he's even got a legitimate reason in his mind, at least, to kill Mary Jane. I mean, Lubinsky had been his friend at one point, so.
I mean, just the way he gets overwhelmed by everyone, like there's just a feeling of dread, knowing that Mephisto is somewhere waiting in the wings. This is what we've been waiting for not even all of Spencer's run. I mean, going back to One More Day. One of the problems I have with that story is there's not a true resolution. Usually when you make a deal with a devil-like character or the devil, something always goes wrong with the deal for the person who makes it. And we've never really concretely seen that before.
True.
It's always felt open-ended to me. And this feels like maybe we're going to close that loop by seeing the consequences from it.
Yeah. Kelly gave it a high grade too. I'll save JR for last. You barely liked the damn thing.
Also, Kelly, I like your hat.
Yeah, chat
Thank
likes
you.
your hat too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Your lid, as the kids say.
Yeah. I threw it on because I was going to take a shower and have like nice clean hair before the anniversary show, but I was called, so
I put the spider signal in the
hat.
sky. I'm sorry.
I'm about to say she looks like she's about to walk into a saloon or something and start a fight.
Order some whiskey and maybe punch a guy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. No, I haven't done that. Anyway, Kelly, what's your pros? What do you like about it?
I mean, we've kind of already touched on it. My main thing is just we're finally getting closer to that conclusion with Doctor Strange and Mephisto, and I'm enjoying the heck out of it. But obviously, also we have Spider-Man actually being Spider-Man. It's not calling whoever is hot and needs the MCU promo. It's him with his villains, and that's just really what we need in a story. Sometimes you need to get back to the basics, which is kind of what the whole thing with Spencer's run has been the whole time, is let's get back to Peter's basics.
Exactly.
So,
Mono, it's not a team up issue. He doesn't have another hero with him. It's him, Mono, multiple Mono, I guess.
Yeah.
JR, what was the comic at least stapled for you?
I gave it a B+, which is usually about as high as I go on anything. It was a nice prologue when you think to a story where you think something is going to happen, but unfortunately, as the next two issues prove out, it's just going to drag on again. I mean, it was a good issue in the way that the pins were all being set up for a strike. But we know it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, and frankly, I mean, it's just going to be, we're just going to have several issues of relentless slugfest. Yeah. So really, there's in a way, there's nothing special about this issue.
Unless you like relentless slugfests.
Well, we've seen so many of those or whatever. I just want the story,
Well, JR, in all honesty, we haven't seen this big a fight, and I can't remember ever.
I don't know. Didn't you see
many villains against one guy?
I don't know. Didn't you see a whole bunch of villains in Craven's Central Park Adventure or something like that?
Yeah, but those are all clones.
Yeah, and also, there was audience participation. Drones.
Oh yeah, and the VR.
Yeah, it wasn't all just against Spider-Man, And in fact, remember some of the villains wound up peeling off of Spider-Man to try to get out.
Yeah.
So
Gary in the Frozen says a B+ from JR nowadays is an A.
You got to grade it on a curve.
Yeah, there you go. Any other pros before we move on to George's cons? Okay, George, cons. Hit me. I don't think you have anything, do you?
I'm going to be honest here. All right. And normally I don't talk about this kind of thing.
Okay.
Cause as I've pointed out, I just, it's all up, subjective to the reader. I don't know. The Bagley's art just didn't seem like it was the best it's been before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I don't know, and I don't want to say if it's that or if it's the inking, but sometimes I say sometimes, there was a lot of times when I'm looking at it and it just looked off. And I know, like, I've seen better Bagley art before, and I'm like, is this an inking thing? Is that it maybe? Or has
it's all those villains he had to draw on the final page, right?
Has the style changed? I'm wondering, because like sometimes, I don't know, even some of the anatomy just kind of looked off to me. Now, normally I'm the last one to mention this kind of thing, usually, the artwork. But I don't know why. It was really noticeable for me, this issue.
It doesn't sound like the big 3/4 of a page panels are a problem, because you praised those when we got to them.
I mean, I like seeing them, but at the same time, I mean, like even on that one with the Savage Six with Stegron and Rhino beside him, I don't know. Rhino's head looked a little weird, and Vulture's kind of frame looked a little weird. Now, I'm not criticizing this too much, because I can't do that. I can't draw that. And for the most part, I didn't have really a big problem with it on here. It just felt a little off to me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I would agree with George to a degree on that. There were a couple faces, particularly for Mary Jane, where they weren't Bagley's best, and they felt like some of his 90s and early 2000s work, where maybe the faces aren't quite filled in, is rendered as much as they are in other panels. While I did notice it, it didn't really detract for me, though, to where I felt I would.
Oh no,
I'm the issue a grade at all.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It wasn't. It was just something that stood out to me while I read the issue.
Yeah.
It was more of an anecdote than a con, really. It didn't jar me. I didn't throw the issue down in rage or anything. I just noticed it, and like I asked earlier, I kind of wondered if it was an inking thing and not a Bagley.
I wonder if it's also a deadline thing mixed with a packed amount of villains per page.
Maybe
he's got to turn this out, and I imagine each page of this thing takes longer than the average.
It's Bagley trying to channel his inner George Perez.
Yeah, or his Kirby, who would turn out page after page, day after day. JR had the lowest vote or grade. What's a big con for you?
It's just more of the same. I mean, I don't have anything unique to add. I mean, it's just it's like more of the same. And then Sinister War #2, is even worse.
Well, and then you pat it out with the ASM issues a little bit. So I can see what you're saying. Kelly,
and this was an oversized issue too, so
yeah, it was.
He did all this art by himself.
Mm-hmm. It was $5. I mean, I thought we got $5 worth of art and story. But Kelly or Javi, any cons before we move on?
I agree with the artwork. I mean, it's not as bad as other things that I have to read when they come out, but it's not Bocello. But it did seem a little rushed and a little lazy at times. But I mean, I assume it's less lazy, more rushing to meet a deadline.
I agree.
Yeah, and again, by me mentioning it, I'm not trying to slight Bagley at all or anything like that. Yeah, I think Bagley's a fine artist.
I do too.
I just there was a few times, like I said, it just seemed off to me as all.
And I don't like to say this either, but as the artist gets older, the penmanship and the art, what's the word I'm looking for? The ability sometimes degrades a little bit. Which is,
I don't think.
I don't think that.
I don't think that's what we're seeing here. I mean,
well,
I mean,
Brett's just ageist, is what he is.
I mean,
you're still on the show, so stop.
I mean, how old was our pal Sal when he was cranking out those great issues of Spectacular Spider-Man?
Well, he was in his 50s, 60s, I imagine. So
I think Bagley's only improved. I mean, if practice makes perfect, he's been doing this since the mid 90s. I mean, look at Life Story. I think that's some of his best work.
I agree.
And the fact that he's still to me, he's still an A-lister on this book.
I agree.
He's not a fill-in artist. He completely belongs here on this title. Right. But I mean, it depends though, because art styles change too. I mean, if you look at like Jim Aparo, like who did like Batman, who did Nightfall, to me, at that age, I thought he was new. I thought he was like a hot artist, not knowing he'd been doing DC since the 70s. And I think that's some of his best stuff that he did in the 90s.
I love it.
Then you look at Frank Miller, you look at how Frank Miller's evolved or devolved, and it's gotten more exaggerated and cartoony. And it just, artists change their style. But I don't think Bagley has slouched at all. I think he's still at the top of his game, if not, at the apex right now.
Right.
I'm the same way as Javi, because I was reading a lot of the Jim Aparo or a lot of the stories with Jim Aparo art in it, like in the late 80s and early 90s.
The Batman stuff.
Yeah. And I never knew that he had been around for that long.
Yeah.
And I always thought he was just incredible. Him and Breyfogle both. Breyfogle, I think at the time was doing a detective alongside while Aparo did Batman. I think Breyfogle was doing detective, and it was just, oh my god, it was a great time for Batman art. It really was.
That's when I was collecting Batman, right after Batman 89 came out. However, I have an announcement. I have officially dropped my last DC book. I pre-ordered my books, and Batman's off of it. I'm done. I don't like how they charge you $5 and they only give you half a Batman book on the regular title, and I don't think the front half is that solid. So,
my mom, I went to breakfast with my mom today with my folks, and my mom, who may be watching tonight, she said she was going to try it. So I don't know if she's watching or not. If you are, hi mom. Everybody say hi, Ma.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Go in the chat if you'd like. We'll put you on the screen.
So yeah, she's not going to do that. We were having breakfast, and she informed me matter-of-factly just about it. Said, well, I've been watching a lot of these superhero movies.
Oh,
and I was like, nice. And I said, well, is there anything you want to ask me? And she was like, no. I was like, oh, okay. All right, fine, whatever. But so she was talking mainly Marvel stuff, but then she looked at me and said, and I don't like how they killed Superman. And I'm like, well, that's DC stuff. And she said, I've been watching the superhero movies. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. My bad. You've been watching DC stuff too. I'm sorry. So yeah, she didn't like how they killed Superman. She announced that very, very emphatically.
All right.
Didn't like how they killed off Superman, and didn't like how they brought him back.
Oh yeah, did she watch the Justice Snyder, whatever, the 4-hour black and white?
Yeah, I guess so. I told her I'd given up on the DC movies a long time ago.
All right, we need to move on to the next issue, ASM 71. What's the legacy on this one, JR?
872.
872. Take me through this one, JR. It's got a little Mephisto. Mephisto, Kindred, Mysterio.
Well, yeah. We start out basically where Spencer decides to let Mark Bagley tell the story instead of really putting any effort into it himself. So that's the first 4 pages, which is Kindred's narration. Kindred stating that if he could dream, he'd dream about the end of Spider-Man falling at the hands of his numerous enemies, payment for the hell that he has forced everyone to live through, living with the consequences of choices that he has made, suffering because of the decisions he has made, dying in his arms because of them. So the scene shifts to where Mysterio has spirited Mary Jane away to the ruins of an old movie set, where, according to Mysterio, it all began, where Mysterio was born. and when it was all so much simpler until the time that Kevin Smith decided to kill him. And then Mary Jane says, well, don't feel too sorry for yourself, Mysterio, considering what Kevin Smith just did to He-Man. So,
I mean, JR's not wrong.
Too soon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched He-Man. Well, this will take us off on tangent. Never mind.
So Mysterio talks of suffering torment in hell until Harry Osborn says, you haven't suffered through hell unless you've been married. But that's another thing. Harry comes to him and
unless you've been written by Howard Mackey. Yeah.
Harry offers him a deal which returns Mysterio to the land of the living. And for a while, Mysterio says this went well. I got to star in some bad Dan Slott stories, and I even got to participate in the first crossover with the Ultimate Universe. And boy, I thought I had it made. But then, what is hell after all, if not being sucked into a storyline that should have ended 25 issues ago? So my tortures and the readers were only just beginning.
Yeah.
The scene switches then to our hero, Norman Osborn.
That's not our hero.
I'm sorry, it's JR's hero.
That's not our hero.
Who revives after Kindred thumped his butt after the escape from Ravencroft. But Kindred didn't leave without a gift. He gave him an attorney's business card. And Norman's thinking, well, I don't know. I haven't. I'm not getting divorced. Why do I need an attorney? But Norman decides to visit the attorney and finds out that he's in the will of one Mendel Strom, his old business partner. Mm-hmm. Norman's saying, well, wait a minute. This dude is dead again? How many times has this dude died? And wait a minute. Didn't he have a will the first time he died back in issue number 38? But anyway, apparently Mendel has left Norman with a weird-looking frilly key, the meaning of which Norman will supposedly know just by looking at it. I mean, it looks like a key with a bad perm, but
or Osborne hair.
No.
Oh, okay. Come on. I don't mean to hold a traffic stop sign up against you. Go ahead.
And
damn.
So anyway, Norman knows that this means something. We'll get around to find out what it is maybe in a few months, but we won't find out this month.
Wait, JR, when you say this means something, are you referring back to something? This means something the way that it meant to like Richard Dreyfuss when he started shaping mashed potatoes and the Devil's Tower and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. This means something.
Now,
it has to mean something, right? I mean, we just don't know what it is. He's taking a flight somewhere, and it's apparently going to be the key to some house where Norman is going to face all of his sins. The thing is, I thought Norman had already faced his sins.
What? His sins of the past. Come on, it's the kids.
Gabe and
sins past.
Marietta.
What's the other one's name? It's Gabriel and
Sarah.
And Sarah. Don't you think it's the kids?
That would be a third rail. I'm not sure even Spencer would cross. He's certainly
he's on his way out. He might as well pick up all the crap.
It's like one of the few things he hasn't touched. I think.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he didn't at this point.
Dude, if he manages to fix sins past.
Well, look at this.
On his way out, as well as one more day.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll forever cement his place in Spider-Man history forever.
Ratchet says the key is the mansion to where Norman raised the Stacy twins. Well, there you go.
Well, I think that's what most fans are thinking.
Yeah.
It could just be a random mansion. Like, we don't 100% know exactly what's going on until we do.
JR, it's the first thing that went through my mind when I saw the word sins and Norman on the panel together.
Yeah.
Did it not go through your mind with that?
No, because I thought we'd already been through the whole sins with the snake handling Sin Eater and blasting Norman and Norman sniffing Gwen and all that kind of. You know, I thought we'd already been. Anyway. Thought we already dealt with Norman's sins then, but
well, on the next page you got Gwen Stacy, right there.
No, well that's it.
On Spencer's mind.
No, that this is Mary Jane talking now. So because that's just a lead into finding out that anyway, we might as well go there anyway since you've opened the door. Okay, back to Mysterio and Mary Jane, where Mysterio shows her a room she recognizes. This is where she went for therapy after Gwen Stacy died, which is why we saw Gwen, not because Brad was trying to make another dubious connection.
No, I was saying on one page Spencer was writing the script, and on the next page there is Gwen Stacy. I'm saying, are they tied in together? It could be.
No.
Okay,
I don't think so. But
let's
anyway,
go around this real quick. But I hate to interrupt you, JR.
No, of course, you just do it all the time.
No, he doesn't. He didn't hate it at all.
Anyway, George, since past, addressed before this is wrapped up, yay or nay?
No.
Kelly, yay or nay?
We'll see.
That's in between the yay and the nay.
I don't know. I really, truly don't know what we're gonna see.
My vote is yay. My vote is yay. Javi, yay or nay?
I'm leaning towards yay. It wasn't something that crossed my brain until this issue, but just given how many weird, random things he's brought back that I've forgotten about, I don't think it's off the table.
Okay. Yeah, but why would Mendel Strom have this key? I mean, what does Mendel Strom know about the kids? Is Mendel Strom involved somehow?
Kindred gave it to him because Kindred visited Strom, so he probably set it up back then.
Hornacek. I hate to interrupt you, JR. Well, we all know that's a lie.
Okay. Just like when Brad says he'll edit something.
Didn't Kindred kill Strom?
Boy, I don't know.
No, Norman killed him and told him when Strom said we need to take it all back to formula. Get it? Because
I get it.
Yeah, I'll be over here with the cool kids. All right.
I honestly don't remember. He may have, but that seems like 300 issues ago or whatever. I mean, I don't even know that I've even read all the tie-ins and everything. So would that have been a
Spencer issue?
Would have been in a issue or a lure issue, or.
I can't keep track. Was the housekeeper like Rosie and the Jetsons? There you go.
Well, some
people have baby monitors.
Give a couple of points to Hornacek there, for at least coming up with a mildly amusing anecdote. So
keep going.
Confirmed. Hornacek funnier than Brad.
Oh, hey.
So this is where Gwen or Mary Jane went for therapy after Gwen died and went for therapy after Harry died, which is kind of funny because Mysterio mentions Harry dying and Mary Jane doesn't bat an eye. Harry's not dead. Harry's alive. I just saw the dude, So I thought that was kind of curious, but I mean, this is of course, but I don't know, maybe Mysterio's, all that green gas, he's is messing with her. But by the time Harry died, her old therapist had retired. But this new one she had an odd name, Dr. Ludwig Reinhardt, which all good Spider-Man fans know has been an alias used by Mysterio since Amazing Spider-Man number 24 back in 1965.
Yep, when Spider-Man went to the the psychiatrist, as drawn by Ditko. Yep.
Speaking of the so-called dead Harry Osborn, he's there in a mysterious prison cell with none other than editorially mandated character Carly Cooper, who George would rather see Carly killed than sins past resolved. So, which to be honest,
I have a need to feel the cathartic release of seeing Carly Cooper dead in a violent fashion. I mean, I'll take it any way I can get it. If she just gets hit and killed instantly by a pipe wrench or something like just and then she's gone, that's fine. Eaten by piranha is even better. Higher points for that. Slowly dissolved in acid. Good way to go.
What about if Stegron just beats her to a pulp with his tail? Wouldn't that be better? Maybe kind of, like the spines in his tail go through her skull, and
man, you guys are mean.
Not violent. I just want her to
go away.
Let her move to LA or something.
No, she can move. All right, she can move to Deathville.
Yeah,
like the population her.
Come back. She'll be a demon.
The thing is though, there's characters who should just go away, and then anything that has the touch of Quesada, should die violently. I think, don't you, George?
The taint of Quesada, yes, I do.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of anyway. So
my greatest fear, though, since I was asked, let me just say this real quick. My greatest fear is that Carly Cooper will die. Like, let's say. Best case scenario, impaled upon the spikes of Mighty Stegron's tail. Let's say she's dead. My greatest fear, she instantly turns into a sack of flour, leading us into a whole nother rabbit hole. I would want to jump. I would want to die by defenestration. I literally throw myself out this window.
Javi just sent me a picture of how Strom died. There's Kindred taking him out right there.
Oh, where was this? When was this?
It was issue 5.
I don't remember this at all.
I don't either.
I don't remember this at all.
We're on issue
the
180
whole Tri-Sentinel. Peter split into 2, Peter and Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well,
man,
that was a certainly unmemorable story. So,
man,
wow. Well, so I guess among all other things that Strom had time to do when he was being roboticized and everything else, he had time to write out another will. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. I was about to say, I mean, can you imagine Strom going into a lawyer's office looking like that or whatever? It's like, anyway. So Harry is haunted by memories, and we see that he remembers dying, and he's haunted by that feeling that no matter how happy he might be now, he has a feeling that this isn't real and it won't last. And of course, Carly is so full of herself and starts ranting and raving about how he's got to pull himself together. And of course, honestly, Harry should say, "Girl, you want a pumpkin bomb shoved up your ass?" I mean,
wow.
Well, 15 years of podcasting, never heard that one.
When you think out of context, that could be an entirely other conversation between them.
Yeah, with HR.
Yeah.
It's like she's lecturing Harry. I mean, and it's like, do you have any idea what this poor bastard has gone through in his life? And you're telling him, put it together. It's like he was raised by a psychopath. Okay. Went through drug addiction. Turned out his best friend was a superhero.
Yeah.
He died, theoretically, after being driven, it's like, I just find it ironic that, Carly can be, it's like, it's one of those things where in real life, you would, say, shut the blank up, bitch.
or just pray that she gets hit by a dump truck.
Yeah. No,
or maybe a gas truck.
Yeah, I just find that incredibly bizarre that she's telling him to get it together. It's like, anyway, I don't think she has the moral credibility to make that. But anyway, I'm not writing it, and that's the way it goes. Yeah. Anyway, so Harry says, "Well, you want to get out? There's the door. It's open." Oh yeah, it is. So anyway, now we're back with Kindred, and what we're led to believe is the shell of an ambulance, the ambulance that took him away when he died back in Spectacular 200.
Yep.
Where he goes when he tries to feel something, but he can't. Then we go back to MJ and Mysterio, where Mysterio says, "I've got to leave. My big scene is approaching, but not too soon because there's at least 3 or 4 more issues of Sinister War. So my big scene's not coming up for a while, but I've got to leave because Kindred is showing up And Kindred appears and says, "Hello, Mary Jane." Boy, Mary Jane, why are you look like a manga character in that panel? And he says,
well, she does, doesn't she?
Yeah. And Kindred says, "Well, it's just us now. To be continued."
Okay. What's your grade? I'm thinking it's not going to be very good.
It's a B. I mean, we actually see a little more movement here, certainly more than we see in Sinister War 2. So we saw a little movement. It's a B. It's okay.
I'm surprised you gave it that high. That's interesting.
Well, I'm saving my vitriol for the next issue.
Okay. So we got a B on the table. Kelly, what's your grade?
I would say anywhere between a B+ and an A-. So I'm going to go with an A-.
Okay. Javi?
I'm going to go, because JR gave it a B, I feel like I have to give this a B+ now. I was going to give it a B because the art took it down a bit for me, although I love how the story got forward. But, I mean, if JR went B,
you got to
go
higher.
B+.
Yeah. George, grade?
I'm giving it a B+ as well. I feel.
I will agree with JR for a change and also go B. It's not top tier like the last issue. The art wasn't as good as the last issue. This one didn't really talk about Spider-Man hardly at all. It was a Mysterio story with Mary Jane mixed in it. So,
Mary Jane and Carly.
Yeah. So we got Power Packers giving it an A, Gabriel giving it a B in chat. Sinister War 2, The Search for More Money, says Hornacek. A- out of Mr. Comics. So there we go. Okay, pros on that issue.
Hornacek is brutal.
He is, isn't he, though?
no F's given, dude. No filter. Just constantly, blue room only.
Hornacek says, is the Harry with Carly the good version of Harry and Kindred is the evil version of Harry, like in the Star Trek episode where Kirk was split in two? That's right up JR's alley. With a Star Trek Spider-Man question. Hit it.
Well, yeah, but it's not entirely analogous because there'd be a dead Kirk body there too. So we actually got 3 Harrys. We got Kindred, we got Harry in the cell, and we got Harry the corpse.
Oh yeah.
So
3 ways. Yeah.
I think Cell Harry's a chameleon.
Oh,
that or he's Superman. That or he's Superman.
After we had that big arc.
Well, wait a minute. Isn't Harry and ain't the chameleon hanging out with the finisher?
No, chameleon, like one of the chameleons.
That's right. There were more, weren't there?
Yeah.
Oh.
And if you want to go even more Star Trek Spider-Man, the scented demons that go in the ear are kind of like cons.
Oh, we're getting to that next issue, Brad.
Yeah, no doubt.
What are your cons?
What are your cons?
I think we're still on positives, aren't we?
Pros, JR, on this one?
I don't have anything. I don't have anything more to say about this issue. I really don't.
Are you at least are you happy that the Mysterio from the Daredevil, the Joe Quesada, and Kevin Smith stuff was addressed 20 years later?
Well, I don't know. Even though I'm happy, I'm trying to make things right. Something is still telling me that none of this is real and that none of it will last. So,
well, that's comics, though. None of it lasts.
That's anyway. That was
like
quote,
dreams.
But,
I mean, sometimes be thankful for that. If this means that one more day doesn't last, and it's a blessing.
Yeah. Hey, we got half an hour till the next show. We got one more book. Any pros around that we haven't hit up?
Mary Jane.
Okay. Yeah, that was my pro. That's my A.
We needed to get some MJ time. I'm sorry, Kelly. Go ahead.
No, saying that was my A-. It's just MJ.
Real MJ or manga Mary Jane?
Doesn't matter.
I like the Mary Jane stuff, but I also liked that. We got a little more with Mysterio because Mysterio's involvement in all this has been very interesting here towards the end. Especially the way he kind of comes across as wanting legitimately to save Mary Jane, to help protect Mary Jane. As much as he can, at any rate, given with what he thinks is going on or what he knows to be going on. But it's been interesting to me, and I like the story so far kind of wrap up with Mysterio because a lot of this crap I didn't bother with. before now.
I appreciate Spencer's deep dive into the past. Like we all enjoy. He went back to Friendly Neighborhood with Peter David, how Mysterio came back after Kevin Smith killed him. In Daredevil, he references Spec 200. He is a deep cut fan like we are. And that I appreciate. I mean, they always talk about writing for the new reader, which is a good thing. Every now and then throw us a bone for us long timers, please.
So is he writing for the new reader or the old reader when he wrote Secret Empire?
Apples and oranges. Did you read Secret Empire, JR?
Well, I read where the character vomits up the cosmic cube, and I thought that was a clever bit of storytelling right there.
Damn, I thought I was going to get you what you hadn't read it. All right, you did read it. You hated it. All right, let's go to
I wanted to say on the Mary Jane point.
Yes, sir.
Where that series got it just disappeared because of COVID. So while she left Amazing to go have her own adventures with Mysterio, we got like a half conclusion to it because there was still supposed to be like 4 or 5 more issues, right, Cal?
Yeah.
So there was supposed to be, here's my thing. 1 through 5 was a perfect story, and there didn't need to be any other separate story, but it was because of the fans and people actually buying it, they wanted to extend it.
Yep.
That's the issue. That issue 6, where there were 4 issues left, that issue 6 was horrible, but it left so many unanswered questions, but those weren't ever originally included in this. So, and I think that's kind of the way that they're working with is just
ignore
doesn't count. Yeah.
But since that ended, like she hasn't really been a presence in the book. She's had like a panel here or a panel there, and maybe just she got bumped up a little bit for Last Remains, but even still, like after that, she's kind of disappeared after she took Peter to the stage therapy thing. So it's nice to get some of her story back in the spotlight, because this is part of her story. If we're dealing with Mephisto, like she's an equal part of this just as much as Peter is. So I was glad that we took this time out to kind of recap where she's been.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next issue to wrap this one up.
We haven't talked about cons.
Real quick cons.
That's true.
Carly Cooper.
Okay. Any other cons? The art, yes.
Yeah.
Manga Mary Jane. Yeah.
Manga Mary Jane. Okay, Sinister War 2 hobby. Take me through it.
Well, it's pretty easy. we start off with Peter getting his butt kicked by the Sinister War, and in between him getting beat up, we keep flashing back to earlier where we see how Kindred recruits all these various teams and brings them all together.
Yeah.
So once he has everyone in the same room, they all kind of come to at the same time. And I guess in his downtime in Ravencroft, he's just been watching Wrath of Khan on repeat. Because not only does he have the SETI Alpha 5 eels that he puts inside all the Sinister crew, he's gone back even further. He wasn't just watching Wrath of Khan. He's been watching Space Seed too, because he goes back to that quote from Milton about it's better to rule in hell than serve in heaven.
Yeah.
And he promises that whoever kills Spider-Man will be like his right-hand man, his lieutenant in hell. And if they don't, then his SETI Alpha 5 Senademon eels are going to kill all the bad guys.
Yeah.
So going back to the present day, Peter's in the cemetery fighting everyone when out of nowhere, his spider sense is going off because he's just overwhelmed with, the 60 foes of Spider-Man. Out of nowhere, Craven, I don't even remember her name because it was part of stuff I didn't read.
Wait, who? Which one?
Craven.
The female Craven.
Oh,
she's a daughter, right?
Is the only one I can...
Skittles.
I can't remember her real name.
I don't remember her actual name.
Let's call her Svetlana just for reasons.
Stabs him in the back, literally, and I don't know if she killed him just because Peter's died like how many times by Kindred's hand. But that is a huge knife.
It is.
So
that's a huge hit.
If that didn't kill him, that got him in his spine. He's paralyzed now. So
exactly.
I don't know what's going on, but
thank you, Dr. Javi.
That was the highlight of the issue right there. And
here we go. Gabriel says her name was Anna.
Anna.
Okay.
That's anticlimactic.
It is, isn't it,
Gabriel?
Gabriel?
It's a better name.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be Russian, at least be Nikita or something. You know,
or Hornacek.
That's kind of it. That's where we end at the present day.
Okay.
Because everything else that comes after that in the story is all flashback to how we got to that point. So that's the issue. C+, and that's being generous.
Ooh, man,
it was easily the worst issue so far of the three. It didn't match up to the hype that we had. The con is we had some Bagley art, but there wasn't any. There wasn't enough Spidey character in it because we were so focused on establishing how all the bad guys got together and why they're working for Kindred.
Yeah.
And why they're at odds with each other. So while it was an interesting way to tell the story after the first two issues of setup, it fell flat for me. I was really excited to read it and I got to it and then I just kind of felt deflated afterwards. So,
yeah. Was this a $5 one too?
No, I think this might have been a regular sized issue again.
Okay. So we got what did you say? C or C+?
C+.
C+. Kelly, what's your grade on this one?
C-. I didn't really I like what it's meant for, but it just felt very short.
It did. It was a
for
fast
what
read.
It was. Yeah.
Okay. JR?
Well, since Javi gave it a C+, I was thinking I was going to come, say something like CS or whatever. But since Javi gave it a C+, I have to give it something a lot worth. So I'm going to give it a D.
Woo! We got C and a C and a D and a JR. George.
I give it a B+.
B+.
Wow.
I will give it a C. Not plus or minus, just right down the middle for me. Javi, pros on it.
Well, I want to correct myself. I just checked Comixology. It was $5 for this issue at 22 pages.
The normal comic, it isn't 22 pages a normal comic?
Yeah.
Oh,
and the last issue on Comixology was 32 pages.
Okay.
So, but I think they count the covers on Comixology as one of the pages.
That deserves a D- then.
And by the way, am I the only one that thought that said DeFalco? When you first
I did it first too, and I had to relook at it.
Yeah, I'm like, is that anyway? They often.
I mean, it's clearly a P and not a.
I know, but if you read it fast, I'm like, oh, he hit DeFalco's grave. But
the Bagley art was really my only pro.
And this guy's a teacher.
I read this, and at no point did I think that said DeFalco. I was like, that's clearly a P, that's clearly a O, and not a C.
Was there an F and a U in there, George?
Well played, sir.
Thank you very much.
That was good. I don't give you props a lot.
I told you before, my comedy is machine gun. I hit you with about 50 of them and about one or two stick.
Yeah, like fishing with dynamite. Eventually, one will float to the top. Yeah.
Some fish will get in the boat if you blow up all the water. Where was I? So we heard Javi's pros, right?
My pro, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Any other pros out of the rest of you guys?
Yeah, I'll give some pros.
Yeah,
I liked a lot of the humor in here.
Okay.
Taskmaster was especially funny. He had one line there, and I'm trying to remember where it was, and I can't remember. But
Betty McDetterson's.
Yes, God, yes. I howled when I read that. The Detty McDetterson thing of the Massachusetts Dettersons. Yeah, I died laughing. Plus, people crap all over Hydro Man in this, and it's funny.
Oh,
yeah, I enjoyed that. Like everyone's just giving little pot shots on Hydro Man. Like even Taskmaster says you were always the worst of us, and then at one point I think Taskmaster was like, "Hey, I'm back on the team," and they were like, "You were never part of the team." It's just I don't know. It was just fun for me, and it was. I like that at the end you find out why they're all doing this, and it needed to happen because you needed to ask yourself, well, why didn't they kill Spider-Man at the end of the last or the last Sinister War issue? Well, now it's because of these things in their damn heads.
Yeah, the cons.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, isn't Taskmaster like a chick who don't talk? Just kind of like a glazed-eyed chick who doesn't talk.
Ask Scarlett Johansson. It's in the legal briefs. Yeah. Anyway, any other con? Oh no, we did pros. George.
George might not have seen the movie.
I have not seen Black Widow yet. No. I was gonna wait. I thought maybe I go see the theater, and then a lot of people were like, you could wait until it's just free on Disney Plus. You could probably do that. I heard that more and more, and I was like, I think I'll just wait for it on Disney Plus.
I think is when it's coming out.
Yeah, and then Jungle Cruise is like, because there was a part of me, because I love the Jungle Cruise ride, and there was a part of me that almost bought Jungle Cruise, but then I started thinking about it, I was like, or I wait till November and it's free.
Here's a question for you. Shang-Chi is not free on Disney Plus, or is not $30. Are you going in September to it?
I'll probably catch it on matinee at some point. I do not have. What is the deal with Marvel's Katie? Why is she called Marvel's Katie?
You've been doing that for years now, like branding.
So it's branding. More than likely, it's for it's marketing purposes, but also someone's probably put a copyright on just regular name for whatever reason.
Oh, that's funny.
So for toys, they have to say Marvel's this, so that way everyone understands.
Okay, all right,
but they're
makes sense.
They're not, messing with other people's copyright, even though they clearly aren't, and that shouldn't be copyrighted. But there you go.
That's just weird.
Yeah.
Yep. Cons now. Javi, big cons.
I just the art change. Like at least it was done in a manner where it was for the flashbacks and not the main story. The main storyline still had just the Bagley, but it just, I don't know, it just wasn't up to par with what Bagley was doing, and it detracted a little bit for me. It's some issues, and honestly, I don't know the difference between the two Federicos and all the different artists, so that it just kind of all blends together for me.
A con for me is the Sinister War should be taking place in Amazing, and this should not make Amazing a B title, which you could pass picking up a regular monthly issue of Amazing and not really miss that much, which is a shame. And I guess I understand why they do it. I guess, do they think the brand new flashy #1 and a #2 is going to sell better than issue 72, issue 73? I guess that's why they do it. I understand. But if you go back in history, if 20 years from now, are you going to be able to figure out what the hell happened if you're just reading on Marvel Unlimited straight through?
The weird thing about this issue was this felt like one of the Who's or the Lures to me. This didn't feel like the main story issue. This felt like one of the backup point issues. I would have liked to have seen Sinister War 2 flip with the Amazing issue that JR covered.
Yeah, it was a better issue. Yeah, I agree. Any other cons? JR?
It sucked.
Okay. Man. Kelly or George?
I didn't really. I mean, the artwork is disjointed because it's different style and different style. Like it's not smooth for me. Yeah. That was kind of it was jarring for the story to go from one drastic style to the next. We had an appearance of Craven's daughter, which is a brand new verse leftover that I could have gone without seeing. And we have a panel of Carly Cooper, which is enough to knock something down, at least, to take it from like a plus to a flat, or a flat to a negative, right. For example. Let's stop using Carly Cooper unless you want to kill her.
Michael Reed says, Brad, that logic goes out the window because anybody who jumps into Sinister War will have to look back at Amazing and gain context. Or just put all these issues in Amazing. Why not just put them all Amazing, column 8, 71, 72, 73, whatever?
We've been asking that for the entirety of Spencer's run. Why don't they just call all this Amazing Spider-Man instead of all this other horse shit?
Yes. But, all right. Any other let's do final thoughts. Javi.
Sinister War as a whole, or this issue?
These three issues.
I think it started off strong with a lot of promise. The last chapter was necessary from a story perspective, but it kind of took some of the momentum away. But I mean, we're halfway there, and there's still a lot to go. So
how many issues are there? 5 or 6?
There's 4. If you look at Comixology, it says it's only 4 issues.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking forward to what's ahead and to see where Spencer is going with this, and just try not to get my hopes up too high.
No doubt. George, final thoughts.
I mean, at least we're getting closure on stuff. We're finally getting closer to the resolution on a lot of things, and I'm hopeful for that. But I really liked that first issue of Sinister War. I thought it was pretty strong.
I did too. Yeah. Kelly, final thoughts.
I think we had a strong start and a kind of weak pause, but I think we're going into something really crazy, and I can't wait for next month.
Yeah. JR, final thoughts, sir.
Humbug.
JR, was this a good month?
Wow.
No.
I forgot to mention. I forgot to mention this is the first time it's ever happened. When we get to the part of Sinister War 2 where Kindred is monologuing to the Sinister 60.
Yeah.
I heard JR's voice as Kindred.
Oh.
It's never happened before reading the comic, but Kindred spoke in JR's voice as I was reading it. And it was
that's so sad. It
weirdest thing.
Well,
to hear JR's Osborne voice when I read a comic.
It makes sense though. I mean, Kindred is a character almost as bitter as JR.
Yeah. No doubt. I often hear JR's voice in my brain too. It's awful, isn't it?
Does it tell you to kill or set stuff on fire?
Oh, he just complains about his wife in my brain a lot.
I'm gonna get married real soon.
I get the impression, Brad, though, you hear a lot of voices in your head. So
you know the voice in my head right now? It's telling me we need to get the hell out of here because we got an anniversary show coming up. We're celebrating 15 years of this podcast. My gosh, here is the teaser image right here. Let me blow it up a little bit. That didn't work.
Here, let me blow it up a little bit.
There you go.
That worked out like a bad fart.
The anniversary show, 23 years, August marks of the website. And we also started the podcast in August. So this is 15 years of the podcast coming up at 9:30. So we're going to take an 8-minute break and we will be right back. We're going to add even more panelists to the party. And you can have a chance to be on the show. I will.
What?
We're going to have live callers. All you 40 people watching us right now. You too can be part of the show. Gary and the Frozen also hears JR's voice when he reads Green Goblin. Nice. Oh, by the way, and Hornacek says JR's flawless impression of Brad. I thought it sucked, like JR's review. He just said. Anyway. Live callers coming up, and I have a couple voicemails that hit my voicemail box. We got a new Crawlspace call-in voicemail line. We'll play those on the air. We will be back in just a few minutes with our anniversary show.